You know, what's funny is that I could have actually kept that intro now that I think about it.
Did you get rid of it?
Yeah, I just deleted it. But, anyways, king of improvising. Here we go. Tri-Town Tory coming to you live in the Northwest. And today I got my homegirl, Red, in the building. And it's really awesome that I have Red with me today because I think this marks the third time that we've done a sit-down podcast. Is that right? I think we've done...
Yeah, I think we've done 3.
Yeah, this will be the third, right?
Well, definitely. Yeah, that's what I mean.
But anyways, man, a lot has changed. A lot has transpired. How are you feeling today?
I'm good.
Good, huh?
Yeah.
Me too. It's a hot motherfucking day in the Tri-Cities. And it's really like, we're getting to the point where people are starting to wake up about this this global warming thing on a real major level. Because you can only have 100 and above degree weather for so many consecutive days in places where it's not normal before you start to see like the trickle effect of what happens from the ramifications that come from those sort of changes so rapidly. Because I mean, I'm only 33 years old and I can say that we've seen enough changes to probably stretch 200 years under normal circumstances, but it seems like we're being pushed fast forward in a certain direction. And some people will like to think that it's probably because overpopulation.
Yeah.
But I want to get your theory on overpopulation because I think that you are really interesting in the sense that you like to play a lot of computer games, and sometimes you can control some of the civilizations in the computer games, and you can play God in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So looking at the overpopulation thing that's going on in the world, let's talk some truth about what this could mean about the future.
So there are way too many people on our planet. Like, because we're, like, the apex predator or whatever the hell that means. Like, we're the top, right? Like, nothing's coming after us. And then because we're so smart, like, we can make each other live longer and longer and longer, right? I personally think that we just need to put a limit, and people are not going to like that. But put a limit on how many people, like, how many children you can have. Okay. Everyone in the whole world. Because then we would, like, keep population at, like, a standstill.
Right.
Without increasing too much, you know, and not falling too much, you know.
So that's not necessarily too new of a concept if you look in the history books, correct? Because if you look at, like, China, I believe...
see, that's why it's controversial, because it's linked to China, communism, and all of that.
Okay, could you explain maybe a little bit further to somebody who maybe not be familiar with that, why that's kind of interesting?
Because America's scared of communism, the Red Scare and all of that really, like, fucked us up. The Cold War.
Oh, the Red Scare. We got red on the Red Scare. Cool.
Oh, my God.
No, but yes, you're right.
That's exactly what it is. So now, like, we, just like Russia. It'd be like if Russia did it. We'd be like, well, see, Russia's doing, why would we do that? Because Russia's considered inherently bad, which their leader is bad.
Okay, so America, or our government, in a sense, will never outright copy or follow suit in any other super country like China or Russia, but they will indirectly. And what I mean by that is America is not stupid, or the government is not, whoever's in the driving seat is not stupid. They see how China's winning, and what they say is, maybe we can turn their idea into a working idea for us. And that's what I think a military dictatorship would look like in America. If you had the military running the country.
But see, that would only benefit then the politician people.
Yeah.
And that would be why they would do it. The only reason, because the country itself isn't actually as prosperous as like the vibe they put off. Because like that's why people leave it. For one thing, they have a really uneven situation when it comes to the male and female population because of how they did the 2 children per house, the 1 child per household thing, and they only had 1, and then they favored males, so they like killed the females all the time, and like that's why you did it. But hey, I was thinking about it the other day, and also the reason China had to do something kind of like that is because like I've been watching a lot of like Chinese dramas lately. and they had, like, at least, like, their king, and I'm sure, like, I haven't looked too much into their systems or whatever, but, like, I'm sure, like, the dukes and, like, anyone with money probably could have multiple wives, right?
Right.
Well, the king was allowed to have unlimited wives, and this one guy had 42 by the end of his reign. I mean, half of them were dead because they were killing each other. That's what the Chinese drama is based off. It's based off of the king,
the
Qing dynasty.
Hold on. Let me slow you down real quick because that's really, really intriguing.
Oh.
This dude had 42 wives.
Yeah.
And they all started coming after each other?
Yeah, because they were all jealous.
So they didn't, okay.
And they all wanted to be his favorite, and they wanted their sons then to be, because, like, what they are doing is they kill each other, they make each other infertile, they fucking are trying to get each other, like, kicked out or banished, and then they're also, like, killing their kids, like, each other's kids, so that their kid will be the one that becomes emperor.
Okay.
And make sure of that, because then they get treated better. Because, like, you think he has 42 wives, right? Well, after he dies, the only people that really keep a title are his main wife, the empress, and whoever's the mom of the kid that is put on the throne.
Right.
So that's the only consorts that get kept around after he's dead.
That's insane.
So, like, you'll want to be the one that's kept around.
Yeah.
If you couldn't be the first wife, that's the empress. She's the first wife. They have a first wife, a second wife, and then after that, they're all concubines, technically.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, aren't there some countries in
And
the world
that... assume they had an overpopulation issue, just saying.
Right. Oh, there you go.
Because, like, he was, like, the reason he kept getting more wives was because his mom was like, you don't have as many kids as your dad did. You have half as many concubines. You need more. And it's really because she wanted to send spies in to spy on him.
Oh,
so she
my
could
God.
control him. So it was like women being sent in to control him.
How did...
They all die.
They play so dirty. That's so
Oh, it was
savage.
so dirty. Dude, they killed each other in, like, horrible ways.
Oh, I can imagine.
And they could be so mean to each other. Like, if you, like, disrespected someone above your rank. Like, there was this one episode where she would, like, basically called the bitch old. It was funny, because she was being a bitch. And then she, like, told her guard, who's a male, to slap the bitch. And he had to, but he didn't slap her. He was, like, fucking punching her.
Oh, wow.
And she was, like, bleeding from her lips. And nothing. You couldn't do anything. She's like, what are you gonna do? Tell the emperor? You disrespected me.
What the fuck?
Yeah, nothing. Can't do shit.
Well, he had some bitch-ass punches, too.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
No, like, she had blood running down both her sides of her, like, corner of her mouth. Like, she got fucked up.
Oh, okay. So it was pretty bad.
Yeah, and he was, like, punching her. Like, he was going at it.
I do have a question for you.
It's crazy.
Time is an illusion. What happened 400, 500, no matter how long ago, could happen in the future, but digital, I guess what I would say, or enhanced by technology. And what I mean by that is the wives. I feel like once you break that stigma about the one wife thing in the Western, world, then the rest of the world will follow if it's not already like that. I think people don't get two or three or four wives. They try to figure out how they can, like, get more and more and more.
Well, see, and that's a problem because, like, I guess the whole point of the show when I'm watching it is coming to the conclusion that, like, in the end, it's technically he doesn't have, like, any children near the end either, because they've all been killed by his wives.
Wow.
Like, he doesn't have any, and then his main wife died, so then his second wife becomes empress, and that's the one he wanted to be with all along, right? And she divorces him, basically, like, actually straight up divorces him, and then dies because she's like, I'd rather die.
Man, it's crazy how isolated he was from what was going on, and he was influencing it directly.
Well, and see, I feel like that's the whole point of the show, because, like, she mentions to him at one point too, because she's talking to this painter that does all their paintings, and he's from the West, so he's from Europe, because the show's based in, like, 1536 or something like that.
Oh, really?
Or 1600s, like that part of China, right? And he's talking about how over there, women and men only marry who they love, and then when they don't love each other, they can get divorced, technically, you know? And she loved that idea. She didn't like sharing him, and she brings it up to him, and he kind of gets mad. Like, he's like, well, that's not the way it is. Like, you need to stop talking to that painter. Like, doesn't make any sense. And she's like, fine, I won't talk about anything I'm interested in with you anymore. And he was like, well, that's not what I fucking meant. And she's like, nah, that's what you meant. Like, just fucking... And then she, like, moves his stuff, and, like, then he's, like, all the way over here on this big ass ladder, like really far away from where he was. He can't get down, and it was really funny. Yeah, but the whole point of the show, I think, is like when you have that many wives, like they all wanted to be the one favorite, and they were all jealous of the other wives. Even from the beginning, before even knowing each other, because like the main one he married, the first wife, she gave his second wife and then his first concubine these bracelets when they first showed up. And she was like, oh, I want this to be a sign, and you'll wear it every day that I love you, and we're sisters, and we're gonna be great. You know what they were? Bracelets to make them infertile. Neither of them got pregnant the whole time they wore them. What? It was the whole point of them, so they wouldn't get pregnant before her. Because she wanted to be favored.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. From the beginning, she didn't even know them, but her first plan was like, don't get pregnant. Let me fuck you up.
God.
Yeah. So even though he visited her less than the main bitch, she got pregnant way more than her until she died, and she stopped wearing the bracelet.
You know what I never thought about is how your guys' reproductive system can be used against you in so many different ways. Like, because what you were just telling me right now is like how sometimes they would attack each other's, systems, so that one couldn't get pregnant or so. But like I was thinking about how it connects to today's world and how like Britney Spears, for example,
that was so sad.
When she, you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, the thing that came out yesterday.
Yeah. How she revealed, like, I never thought that somebody could control another person to that further extent.
What I find so disgusting is, one, that she can't get married if she wants to. I understand to a degree, because someone who is mentally unable to make decisions,
right?
Shouldn't, because they can marry anyone that trick them, right? But she's not mentally incapable completely to making those decisions, right? And I found out it's because her dad convinced the court that she had early onset dementia, which, by the way, if she did, she would not be able to talk the way she did, because the earlier it attacks you, the quicker it kills you. And
not only that, she was performing still.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's not possible. So, to not, like, they could easily screen the person to let her marry them. Like, her dad's being a dick. Because there's people with Down syndrome, right? Who can get married, and they're allowed to have lives and have kids, and that's that used to be considered a very, like, you will never have a life kind of thing, But they can.
Right.
And, like, so if you're, like, talking to the person, like, the family can easily screen them and make sure this is safe, right? Not to mention, forcing her to have an IUD is really fucked up.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, I'm pro-choice.
That's what I was getting at. And the reason for it is because how it connected to the way that you can be controlled.
I'm pro-choice, so I believe you should have right whether to have a child or not. You should not be told whether you can or cannot. And not to mention, I know that IUDs can be extremely painful to not only have, like, to get put in, then to have checked constantly. It feels like being stabbed.
Wow.
And so I know that that's like one of the most painful versions of contraceptive. Like, my doctor told me that. And to think that they are forcing her to get one, like, just give her the shot then.
Right.
Like, you don't have to do that one. That one feels like such a personal attack towards her. Like, you're trying to be mean, like, because she has so much money, like, it would not be hard for her to go get the shot. Or there's patches now, or, like, honestly, you have people who watch her. Can't you just make sure that she takes her birth control every day?
Yeah.
The pill?
No, you're right.
Like, I don't understand.
No, that's what I don't get about the whole thing too. Like, she came forward and she did a whole like, she talked for like 20 minutes on the phone, like, for a court hearing.
Yeah.
And that was the most I had ever heard of her speak in a long time. And I was like, holy shit, she can speak. And then I realized that they're controlling her so hard that, like, the perception is to look as if she can't take care of herself.
Well, and the thing is, like, she's supposed to be going to a therapist to help her, right? But then I was, like, hearing her say that, like, if she's, like, not cooperating, then she goes to her therapist appointment, and the first thing the therapist asks her is, I heard you're not cooperating, Brittany. And it's like, cool, so her therapist isn't even there for her. It's not a safe space for her. It's just another way to control her. So that's not good. Even if she does have an actual mental issue, like, I'm sure she does, but we obviously all saw her breakdown, But she can't get the proper help if that's what you're doing. Like, it's just a bunch of people making money off her, like she said.
Yeah.
Because that it's like the old mental institutions where they were all being mistreated, but the mental institution was making money off of it.
And I think what happened was that phone call was leaked. Like, because it's illegal for that to get released, officially. It was leaked. Somebody had gotten access to it, and they dropped it on the internet. And it comes to be in favor of Britney in a lot of ways, because this going viral, and
the judge has to rule in her favor.
And what it also does is it changes the way that the world sees Britney in a major way, because it's like, holy shit, she has comprehensive thoughts. She can speak. She has recollection of what she's talking about. Like a whole spectrum of awareness to Britney's reality comes full circle at that point. And I think it's really awesome, because it's like the universe is working in her favor, because her fans are becoming more and more conscious of her existence again. So they're like contributing energy into her. And it's weird because it's working in some sort of way that we can't really see, but it's playing out in front of our eyes. It's fucking beautiful, and it's going to save her life.
Well, and it's throwing a lot of things in their face, because, hey, here's another question I have. They're saying, like I brought up with, like, can they just make sure someone has to take her birth control? She's on all these meds. At one point, her dad's claiming that she wasn't taking her medication. You have people don't you have people whose job it is to give it to her every day? Like, when my grandma was dying of cancer, she had every day, like, a doctor came and made sure she took her medication.
Yeah.
Like, if someone that's, like, poor can do it, lower middle class or whatever.
Right.
I'm sure Britney Spears could have someone live with her and do it.
And she maybe even a level better than that.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't even know. But what I think is really interesting is that we're all acting like we don't know what's going to happen. It's really obvious that if things don't go in her favor, it's going to be real bad and dark for Britney. It's going to be really bad for her. Her rest of her life is probably not going to be much to mention.
Well, I can't imagine it not going in her favor now that this has been brought to the surface.
Right.
Because
that's what I'm saying. Definitely.
I just imagine people protesting now at this point if it gets turned off.
Her fans, they might have always in spirit been with her, but now they are mobilized.
I'm not even a fan of her, and I'm, like, disgusted by how she's being treated.
Right, because she's a woman and she needs help.
Yeah.
And that's what it boils down to. Like, people think just because you're a celebrity that you're, like, less of a person, because you're reduced to, like, an image.
I also think this really shines light on how kind of gross the music and, like, Hollywood and, like...
Or further shines that light.
Yeah.
Yes.
How, like, really gross it is. Like, the fact that, like, someone with that much money is basically being controlled.
Well, doesn't it show you how parasitic it is?
Yeah.
Like, to its very smallest and microscopic, where you can't save it. Because no matter where you cut it, it's all infected.
Somehow she's the one making them all the money, She's the boss, technically. Yet she's the lowest one on the totem pole.
Well,
it doesn't make any sense.
She's the tiger in the circus.
Yeah.
Because literally she's there for spectacle.
Yeah.
And she's not supposed to talk. She's not supposed to negotiate.
Yeah.
Her content is not her content.
Yeah.
She is product to just be an odd of.
Parents tried to come for her and be like, we didn't know she felt like that. We feel so bad that she feels like that. She just needed to talk to us. And I'm like, you're such fucking liars.
I'm going to tell you what, man. I'm the age where I was in middle school when Britney Spears came out. Right? And I know a lot of rappers, a lot of people like me will never admit it, but she was the biggest fucking thing in music. Like, literally, every song was on the radio 24/7. And not only that, she was in movies. And, like, she was larger than life. And not only that, all the guys had a crush on her. They thought that she was sweet, thought she was cute. And she also was marketed to older men. Like, the way that her single, Hit Me Baby One More Time, the way that they low-key fetishized the whole school image. Like, it makes you just wonder why that was okay and why she never had a chance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like... Because these are a lot of people who come from, like, Christian backgrounds and their families, like, church-orientated, It's weird how they're fed into a predatory system that has no remorse for their lives or their rights. It's because everybody's brainwashed, even the people who are perpetrating. And they don't even stop to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I know.
But yeah, so the reason why I get on that tangent is just simply because she's literally like, when people cry about celebrities that die from overdosing or whatever, you know, and they just pass away, they didn't support them when they were alive. They didn't give them their roses when they were alive, so to speak. But now, when you actually have the opportunity to do so, you just let it go by, you know. So, I don't know. I thought that was a really interesting story. Another interesting story was the whole Bill Gates divorce.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting because what does it say when the billionaires are divorcing their wives? Like, what kind of message does that give off to the country, you know?
I mean, they're rich people who can afford to get more attractive wives.
Yeah, but it's weird because people copy trends, and even when billionaires do stuff, like people try to copy them.
If anyone copies that, then they're jackasses. And honestly, that's gonna suck for them because they're gonna have a lot of alimony and shit to be paying.
Well, do you think that it could be speaking to a bigger cultural shift that's happening where sex working is becoming more legal, and like older men are divorcing at older ages and then becoming more sugar daddy type individuals for women that they have no fucking chance with? Like, that seems to be like a futuristic dystopian kind of like outlook, but that's kind of like where patterns of the mainstream kind of seem to be heading towards. Like, and that could be like unrealistic as fuck. But that's what I think when I see the billionaires who are like superstars for just being innovative.
Yeah.
And when they do things, it's really influential. So, like, for example, Elon Musk. He's probably the next one who's going to divorce.
He's already divorced his first wife.
I think he's divorced too.
Yeah, well, I know how he treats his first wife, and it's gross, and his own kids.
Well, I think he's going to divorce Grimes because the same way that he got rid of all of his fucking houses, he'll just keep getting rid of things to act as if, you know, he's making himself more available for the future.
No, it's that, oh, you're not attractive to me anymore, and I'm kind of used you and done with you, and I want something new and shiny because I have the money to do it.
It's probably both. It's just a combination of things. But, yeah, no, I just speak to those things because, like, I look at the whole picture, and I'm really concerned with the way that people follow. Like, people follow so easily, and they sell themselves short easier now. Like, to be a part of the crowd means so much more to people, and they'll give up so much more than they've ever been willing to give up just to be accepted.
That's not necessarily true.
That's what I'm saying across the board.
I think you're just noticing it more, but, like, it always happens in waves.
I just think that technology is,
it makes it easier for sure.
Yeah, I think that that's what's going on, because look at TikTok, for example. Okay, I'm even a part of this. I have an excuse or a reason for why I do what I do, but nobody else knows that they need one, so they just participate. And what I noticed about TikTok is that it creates this whole like culture where it's cool to copy the next person or steal the next person's stuff, whether it's their personal original intellectual property or their art or just some stupid accidental thing that went viral. I think it's easier now because of how fixated people are to technology. Like, these things have to happen in steps. Like, people get addicted to the devices, the TVs, the laptops, all the shit. And then the programming just gets stronger and stronger. So, like, Snapchat pretty much got dominated by TikTok, you know, so on and so forth. Because they're just figuring out better and better ways to keep you distracted and keep you fixated to your device. And I guess I don't really know where I'm going with that, but I think it's interesting when a country, like, let's say a dictatorship country, gets so much control of the art, the movies, everything, that they're able to, like, change behavior of their citizens.
Well, yeah, that's what dictatorships usually do. It's kind of like the pattern, you know?